love it if we beat them. Love it. Well, we're heading for a penalty shootout. Naeem! Or are we? Can you believe what you see?
Hello everyone and welcome back to this latest edition of It's Still a Funny Old Game. Where else can we start this week but with the ugly scenes that took place at the London Stadium on Saturday? For West Ham fans, this was a match that was supposed to be remembered for the 25th anniversary of Bobby Moore's death, but instead turned into one of utter chaos as West Ham fell to a heavy 3-0 defeat to Burnley. A number of fans invaded the pitch to confront players, one having to be wrestled to the ground by West Ham's captain Mark Noble. Hundreds more flooded in front of the director's box to rage at the club's owners, knocking one female steward to the ground in the crush. West Ham co-owners David Gold and David Sullivan had to be escorted from their seats as it is understood missiles were thrown at them, with one coin striking David Sullivan in the face. Amidst all the craziness, the players of Burnley allowed a number of young West Ham fans to sit on their bench to escape the violence that was erupting in the stands. In a sport where footballers often get a lot of stick for not caring, this is a real classy act from them, so well done lads. They're a credit to the sport and to Burnley Football Club. But going back to the problems at West Ham, of course, results haven't been good for them of late. But I, for one, am struggling to understand why they are so upset with their board. I know a lot of it stems from them being unhappy about the move from Upton Park, which was their home for 112 years. But for those fans who voiced their dissatisfaction with the directors for not delivering the spending required to move the football club forward, I would like to point out that since the move to the new stadium, the West Ham board have shelled out in excess of £125 million on incoming transfers, which is double the outgoings of Burnley, who they have just been beat by 3-0 and are sitting comfortably in 7th. A lot of West Ham fans will probably point to some of the players they have sold, but just in my opinion, when you consider the figure that I've just said, I fail to see how anyone can accuse the West Ham board of not putting their money back into the squad. The question now has to be, what will the events of this past weekend do to West Ham's survival hopes? West Ham are potentially faced with major punishment, but it wouldn't be the financial punishment that would be the biggest worry if it was me. The team may now be forced to play a number of their remaining home games behind closed doors. Now, how damaging could that be for the morale of West Ham's staff and players? Even if this doesn't end up being one of the sanctions, how is the team expected to get the points they need to stay up in such an aggressive climate? If I'm being honest, if West Ham do get relegated, some of their fans will really have to take a long hard look at themselves, because their behaviour will certainly not have helped their cause. Some West Ham fans won't like that, but as supporters, if you're not going to get behind the team in a positive manner, you might as well not show up. The game of the day, however, definitely had to be the 7-goal thriller at the KCOM, with Hull City beating Norwich 4-3, in a game that also had 4 penalties. Having watched the highlights of the game, it really looks like the referee Tim Robinson has had a real nightmare. In my opinion, he has got 3 out of the 4 penalty decisions wrong. In particular, I've got to pick out Norwich's first penalty and Hull City's last. Norwich's Nelson Oliveira looks like he has jumped in the air a mile before the keeper has actually made contact with him, and I have no idea what he thinks he has seen for Hull's second penalty. I really can't see anything untoward going on at all. I'll put the video of the highlights up on our Twitter and Facebook pages. Please, let us know your opinion on these decisions. Maybe you're a Hull or Norwich fan who was there. Again, please let us know your thoughts. So on to our main topic this week. A slightly selfish one from my point of view being a Burnley fan, but hey ho, I really want to talk about this. There was a report in a local newspaper last week that Burnley are the subject of a £180 million takeover attempt from rival American and Middle Eastern investors. And although the debate for foreign investment in football is probably now quite old, it did get me thinking, do we really want it, or do we even need it? The thing is, over the past 20 years, foreign investment in football clubs has resulted in many outcomes. If you was to ask the supporters of Leicester, Chelsea and certainly Manchester City, it's likely you'll get a decently happy response. But I'm guessing you wouldn't get the same reaction, say, down the road at Ewood. Now that's not me taking the proverbial, it's those examples that worry me and are a reminder that there are some dangers in this kind of investment. I look at the foot of the Championship and it's actually quite cringy. Birmingham, Hull City, Reading, Barnsley, all have previously been in the Premiership, all have decent sized supports and all have had foreign investment, but yet are struggling to maintain their status in the second tier of English football, and I really don't want us to end up like that. It's easy to get carried away with the number of zeros that come with the potential investment, dreams of superstars signing for our club, Champions League football, etc., but then failing to ask the question of why these people would give two hoots about Burnley Football Club. There's always the danger of sinister motives. When you think that Hull City owner Asim Alam promptly put Hull City up for sale after being told he couldn't change the name of the football club to the Hull Tigers, and former Birmingham City owner Carson Young, who was jailed for 6 years in March 2014 after being found guilty of 5 counts of money laundering. It serves as a reminder that it might just not be worth it, particularly when we're chugging along quite nicely. I'd love to get the thoughts of other fellow Burnley fans on this. How do you feel about the potential investment? That's all we've got time for this week. I hope to see you again soon. Take care, everybody.